committee has made some progress, and at least the majority of the committee members agree with restore teacher salaries. The tax cuts are absolutely inappropriate when we are in default on our promises to our teachers. Now let's put that 2% raise in context and see if it calls attention to the priority we place on education in South Carolina. This is a teacher salary schedule. You cross-reference the degrees that you have with your years of experience. It tells you what your salary will be this year, and next year, and the year after. I'd like to introduce Ms. Lindsay Eggman. I met Lindsay 4.5 years ago, when she was fresh out of college and eager to begin her career. Good morning, Lindsay. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
How long have you been teaching?
I'm currently in my 5th year teaching.
Now, what was your salary your first year?
My first year teaching, I made $32,317.
So now you've got 4 years experience.
Yes.
You've added 18 credits on your way to getting a master's degree.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive considering that you teach full-time and wait tables in a restaurant.
Thank you.
How much did those credits cost you?
About $9,000.
So with those credits, where would you be on this salary schedule if you were being paid for all 4 years of experience that you had?
I would be making $38,050.
But of course that didn't happen. Instead, we had the biggest education cuts in the United States. 24.1%. How much are you actually making this year?
I'm actually making $36,679.
So how far behind are you?
I'm still 2 years behind.
Now with the 2% increase that's proposed for next year,
Yes.
where would you be?
I'd be at $37,360.
Where should you be?
I should be at $38,751.
So you'd still be 2 years behind, even though the state is running $1 billion surplus.
Yes.
How do your folks feel about this?
It's funny, I just found out the other day, or my dad just discovered too, that he's earning the same as Social Security that I make teaching. And with the surplus in the budget, they don't understand why my salary is not being restored.
What kind of an impact is this having?
It has a huge impact. I have to cut a lot of expenses, including going back up north to be able to visit them as often as I'd like.
Thank you. Furloughs, salary freezes, no cost of living allowances. With increased class sizes, she was doing more work for less pay. Next year, Ways and Means says that you and I will honor her service with a grand total of $37,360. Meanwhile, since Lindsay started, the cost of living has increased to the point where her actual purchasing power will be only $1,800 more than it was 5 years ago. Good thing she started working on that master's. Without those credits, which cost her $9,000, her purchasing power would be even lower. Oh, and by the way, she'll be paying half of that 2% raise directly into the state's pension fund to correct decades of mismanagement. And her health premiums are going up 4.6% after going up 4.5% last year. A total of 10% over 2 years. Her health premiums are going up, and in 2011, with a projected $1 billion deficit, she was 2 years behind on the salary scale. In 2012, with a $1 billion surplus, Ways and Means is offering to place her 2 years behind on the salary scale. Is this truly what the citizens of South Carolina believe about where education falls on the list of priorities? I'm told this budget is the best we can do. I'm not so sure. So let us recap. The governor says we should cut funding by $80 million. House Ways and Means says we should have a 2% cost of living adjustment. I've bought enough used cars to know that we're not done here. I'm a teacher. I don't even know what a new car smells like. I hear it's nice. Besides more money in this year's budget for teacher pay, what else can you do to show that education is important and a priority for our state? Find stable funding sources for our teachers and schools. Data is not very useful until it leads us to questions. Why did this legislature cut more from education than any other state, 24.1% over the last 4 years, so that we now spend 76 cents on fourth graders for every dollar that we spent on them in kindergarten. Because the legislature started funding schools from sales tax on the eve of a recession. I am not pushing tax increases, but instead comprehensive tax reform. If South Carolina wants to adequately fund education and pay teachers well enough to keep them, we need stable sources of revenue. Let me mention the elephant in the room. When Act 388 was enacted, few opposed it. One of the many things that I admire about Representative Harriott is that despite his initial support for the act, he spoke out candidly when he saw the real impact start to hit. He saw that although the legislature had acted with good intentions, the result was flawed. Many of the elected officials in South Carolina say that they value education. We might disagree on whether or not this budget reflects that. Let me also say that restoring teacher salaries is not a partisan issue. I can't tell you how many people have told me since we started just a month ago, I'm a lifelong Republican, and I'm never making that mistake again. I spoke recently with a group in Charleston. A public figure within the Tea Party movement came up to me afterward and said, "What can I do to help?" Don't take my word for it. Go to our online petition, tinyurl.com/payfair, and read the comments. We're also continuing to take signatures and grow the petition. Teachers are looking right now to see who is standing with us, who is keeping their distance, and who is slapping us in the face. Representative, on behalf of the teachers and citizens of South Carolina, I'd like to present these 6,600 signatures to you. And I worked so hard on this speech, but I have to make one correction. As of this morning, we are at 7,000 signatures. You have been a great friend to the teachers of South Carolina. Please do it with your call.
Good morning. Let me start off by thanking Pat for taking the initiative to draw the spotlight on what he sees and I see and many of my Democratic colleagues and some of my Republican colleagues see as a real injustice that is being portrayed on the teachers of the state of South Carolina. Politicians talk about high priority for education. We talk about money in the classroom. We talk about the importance of teachers. But then we do not match what we have as our rhetoric by our actions when we allocate the funds. Yes, we do have over $1 billion of new money, and it was work to fight against the governor's proposal of actually a tax decrease in her budget proposal. It was work to fight against Superintendent Zace's recommendation of no new funding for teachers. But the Ways and Means Committee did find it within ourselves to put a 2% pay raise in this current budget. I intend to continue to fight on the floor for an additional 1 or 2% in teacher pay raise. I believe if we are going to say we value teachers, then we should be able to reward teachers. One of the things that my Republican colleagues always like to talk about is the Southeastern average, and how we want to be above the Southeastern average. And at one point, a few years ago, we actually were above the Southeastern average. But ladies and gentlemen, I have a sheet of paper that I received yesterday. If we give our teachers a 2% pay raise, our teachers in the state of South Carolina will be $346 below the Southeastern average, even with the 2% pay raise. And it gets worse. Ladies and gentlemen, if you factor out the National Board certification, and if you are a teacher who does not have National Board certification, you will find yourself making $1,295 below the Southeastern average. I challenge anybody, how do you say I've got a commitment to reward teachers in the classroom when you allow yourself not to even keep up with North Carolina and Georgia and the other southeastern states. I challenge everybody, starting in the governor's office, to let's pony up to the table and do what we say. And if we really do support public education, let's put our money where our mouth is and reward those teachers who work every day in that classroom to educate our children. Because no matter what else we do in education, if you don't have a teacher in front of that class prepared to teach those students, then everything is for nothing. My wife spent 30 plus years teaching. I made it for 5 back when I first got out of Clemson. I take my hats off to teachers. You know, we send our children, our most precious commodity, to you 5 days a week, and we ask you to do the best you can to educate. The least we can do as legislators in the South Carolina legislature is to do likewise and do the best we can and pay you for the services that you render to our state. Ladies and gentlemen, we intend to continue to fight on your behalf, and I want to congratulate you on coming around and deciding that you want to play a role in this political process and take a stand, because, ladies and gentlemen,